What's up everyone, my name is Mark Hawk and today we're taking a quick look at REMOVU's A1 M1 system. Now this is a Bluetooth wireless microphone system that retails for around $99 at launch. Now what this is going to do is it's going to add a higher quality fidelity to your GoPro recording. It's going to be compatible with everything from the Gopro Hero4, 3 Plus, and Hero4. It's not going to be compatible with the Hero4 Session, that's the only real exception. Now this is what the quality of the audio sounds like default with the Gopro Hero4 internal microphone. And this is what the audio quality sounds like when we hook up the REMOVU A1 M1 system to our GoPro Hero4 Black. Now, not to worry, both of these items are independent, so we're not stealing any resources away from the GoPro Hero4 Black because they both have their own internal battery. We're not taking away any battery life from the GoPro Hero4. And since we are running off Bluetooth, the battery drain on both of these devices isn't nearly as strenuous as something like Wi-Fi. Now, we can sync these devices real fast. We turn on the A1 system, which is the receiver first. Once that light turns red, you're going to hold down the sync button right below for about 2 seconds until that starts flashing red and blue. When that's done, we're going to hold the power button on the M1 microphone for just a little bit longer. It'll flash red, and then you can press that sync button. That'll start flashing red and blue, and they should instantly see each other right away. You're going to want to keep them at about 10 to 5 feet when you're doing your initial sync, but once you've done your initial sync, you're never really going to have to resync them again unless anything sort of goes wrong. Now, the M1 system has a few mounting options. We have a clip mount, which makes it really easy to mount to just sort of a hat or a vest or a shirt or something, just to keep it really close by you. But if you wanted to mount it to a traditional GoPro mount, maybe put it on a bike or something like that, you also have that option too. Now, there is a waterproof housing for the M1 system. That way, if we're doing something like surfing, we can clip it on and we don't have to worry about any water damage happening to the microphone system. Now, the A1 system is going to plug right into the back of the GoPro Hero4. But since we do actually have a ribbon cable that is actually mounted inside the A1 receiver itself, we don't have to worry about ever losing it. Now, our ribbon is orange, but I do believe the final retail release version will be black. We are working with a pre-release version right now, but for the most part, we've had some pretty good success with it. To hook it up to the GoPro Hero4 Black is relatively easy. You're going to take your ribbon cable. Once you plug it into the GoPro Hero expansion, again, it's not pulling any power away from it. It's just a plastic slot that keeps it locked into place. You take that ribbon cable and you plug it into the USB port on the A1 system, and then put the other one into the USB port on the side of the GoPro. Now, since this GoPro cable is so thin, we can actually use this with a traditional frame case. We don't need any sort of special frame case. It'll work with the one you have, but it is going to have to use the frame case that's a little bigger in girth. Just means it's a little bit wider. But since we do have that thin ribbon cable, we can also use it with a traditional waterproof housing, which again makes it really ideal for things like if you wanted to do vlogging and you're in the rain, or if you're doing surfing and you want to be able to talk to the microphone, you can actually use this setup. Now, if you're going to be using this setup around water, you should be aware that a thin layer of water or even another human body getting in between the microphone and the receiver will kill the signal. So you're definitely going to want to keep these guys in direct line of sight. Now, we can go through actually walls. We can actually go up to about 28 feet in distance with no issue, but just putting someone's body in between the two systems will kill it. And again, it will research for that signal right away and it will connect right away, but you might get a pop, and it's just something you should be aware of when filming this in case you want to set up the camera remotely. Make sure you have a clean line of sight and you're within 20 to 28 feet of that subject. So we're getting into our field test scenario right now. And right now we're in a controlled environment. I'm talking to you directly through the GoPro Hero4 Black's internal microphone. And what we're going to do now is we're going to roll into using the REMOVU A1 M1 microphone system. And you can hear instantly there's a much higher fidelity. Things like sort of ambient noise in the background is dramatically reduced, and the volume of my voice should be a lot clearer. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to put on the windscreen and we're going to turn on a fan in the background, and we're going to check out how the difference it sounds from here. So we're going to turn on the wind right now. We're going to crank this fan up to its highest speed. And we actually have it blowing right at the microphone right now. I'm just going to move more just so I'm directly in the line of sight here. And you can hear the wind sort of coming through the microphone right now as I'm talking. We're still able to pick up my voice, but we're not going to completely eliminate the noise. But compare this to when I pull off the windscreen completely. I'll just keep talking here. You hear the winds coming in through the microphone, and you can just hear the level of difference. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn off the fan and we're going to roll it into the waterproof housing. Now, this is great because if we're doing things like motovlogging, we don't have to worry about the rain getting the microphone wet. If we're surfing, I don't really have to yell at the camera for it to hear me, and you can see I'm talking in a general normal tone, and the microphone's still able to pick me up. It's a little more muffled, it's a little less high fidelity, but we're able to talk to it in a normal way without really straining our voices. Now, all of these devices are meant to be used outdoors, practically on a GoPro, where there's a lot more motion, there's a lot more variables, trails, wind, city noises, adventures. So let's get out of this cramped environment and go check this out in the open. So we're here on the 5th floor of a parking garage. There's a lot of city and surrounding noises. We have the microphone in its most ideal condition where we don't have a sort of windproof thing on it. We don't have the waterproof thing on it. We're gonna just try it out in distance and see how far we can go. Now we have a bunch of parking spaces. This is probably gonna go further than you would probably actually separate the Bluetooth from the camera, but we're gonna see how the quality changes as we start walking. So we're gonna start at parking space 7280 and we'll see how far we can go. Ideal signal we can get. Now as we're walking, if it goes out of range, it will try and reconnect. How long that takes and what the delay is, we'll kind of see. But just to show right now, I'll take a clap, and that's how long the delay was, and maybe my voice might seem off sync too as well, so it doesn't look like it's going anywhere soon. So maybe we'll just try it with the sort of windscreen on. So right now there's a very low flying helicopter just sort of circling right behind the camera here. We have the windscreen protector on. We're right in front of the camera, maybe about 4 feet away. And yeah, this is probably the best scenario if we wanted to just focus in on my voice. If it's sort of isolating just my voice as I sort of hit it with my hand there, or if it's picking up the helicopter and the plane in the background. So now we have the M1 in its waterproof housing. I'm talking at the same volume I was before. The helicopter is the same distance. It's still circling. Again, this is just to give you an idea of what the sound quality will be if you're doing a normal talking voice, even without a lot of extreme background noise. Now, if you're surfing, your background noise is going to be much louder. Now, if I wanted to talk to the camera, now I'm speaking a little bit louder just to ensure that it's really hearing me. There's not a general huge loudness in my voice, but I can't see many people sort of screaming at the microphone, especially when it's this close to them. And the little clip design will make it a lot easier to sort of keep it mounted to your neck or your sort of wetsuit close to your mouth. Now, one more time, we're gonna take it out of the waterproof housing and just compare it now with the helicopter in the background. So it's out of the waterproof case and we have another helicopter on my left, as well as a helicopter behind the camera still circling. Again, with no waterproof housing, it should be a lot easier to hear me, and we'll start backing up while I'm facing the camera just to kind of get an idea on if the connection holds up. Now we're gonna go by parking spaces. We're starting at 4270. We have the helicopters lying around. We have the side. So as you can see, we've stepped out kind of into the middle of nowhere. We're up here, we're gonna do some mountain biking with the M1 at first with the windscreen on, and then we're gonna go about a mile down and then put it in the waterproof housing and see how much the sound differentiates. Now there's a little bit of a breeze here. It's definitely gonna pick up once we start mountain biking down the hill, but that's when we're gonna switch over to the waterproof case and just see if it makes a difference. Also, I really wanna check, since I'm gonna have the helmet camera mounted to the top of my head, if the microphone, the Bluetooth is able to penetrate going through my head into the camera, which sounds absurd because most Bluetooth devices will pick up devices in a very large range, but we've had issues where if I turn around with this microphone, it won't even detect me. So I'm hoping it'll at least go and connect to the camera that's on top of my head. On the front, we got the Go on my head, 1440p, 60 frames a second, and time to get out of these mountains. So right now we have the protector on. Again, we're gonna put the waterproof housing here in just a little bit. Normally I ride with a bell on the bike when I'm in public trails like this, but since we're doing the microphone test, I took it off, and there doesn't seem to be much of anyone out here today. I did see one person hiking up ahead of me, and his car is definitely parked down there, but all around here you can see all the ridgeline trails, and I haven't seen them since I got up here. So we should be pretty safe just cruising down this. However, definitely taking my time. As you can probably hear, it's a bit windy when we're going down. Otherwise, it's a very mild wind. We're up in Canyon County, and it's usually like super windy up here. So like the day after Christmas, it was like a hurricane in my house. But right now it's not too bad. Probably the best I've ever hiked up here. Actually rode my bike the first time all the way up here, which for me is a pretty big accomplishment. You know, most of my time is spent sitting behind a desk. So actually getting out and being able to ride up this whole thing, and now getting to ride down it, feels fantastic. It's like putting all that work and effort towards it, and just this one run going down is pretty great right now. And actually the terrain's really good. I was originally afraid it was going to be very loose gravel, but for the most part it's working out pretty well. It's mostly a very bedrock, like a hard bedrock underneath this, and then just some loose sand. So what we're going to do here now is we're going to switch over to the waterproof housing, and we'll take the rest of the trail down with that. So yeah, woo! All right, Alright, so we put on the waterproof housing, and I did move it onto my shoulder just a little bit, that way it's not bouncing as much. It should definitely be a little more muffled. Again, we have a very mild wind going on. And yeah, let's just start heading down from here. So, one thing I probably didn't get a chance to mention in my sort of like opening monologue is that the M1 unit, the receiver unit of this device, I'm sorry, the A1 unit, the receiver of this device, it's actually like virtually like almost weightless. It's really light. Not that if it were much heavier that it would be a big issue, but it's extremely light. If you compare it to any of the other backpacks that are available for the GoPro, like the Wi-Fi or the battery or the LCD screen, it's tremendously lighter than all of those devices. It really doesn't add any extra weight to the device itself, which is really great. It does add a little bit of girth, so if we're using like the frame case or a waterproof case, that's kind of an issue. Again, do feel really bad about not having a belt on this so no one can hear me. Pushing pretty fast here. We're now in the valley coming towards the end of this trail. Pretty much rode down a little over 2 miles today. Went up on the bike, which feels great. Again, we're just sort of cruising here. We have the microphone, the M1 system, and the waterproof housing. The light on it is still blue, so I'm pretty confident this whole time that the signal has been able to go through whatever interference is there and just communicate, but it's really hard unless I kind of keep looking down at the microphone. There's no audio indication if something's screwed up. So just to summarize everything we've gone over real quick, we have a Bluetooth wireless system that's compatible with the Hero 3, Hero 3 Plus, and GoPro Hero 4. And if the A1 system doesn't actually detect the Bluetooth microphone, it'll automatically power down to save battery life. And if for some reason the A1 stops functioning, the system's smart enough to switch back to the GoPro internal microphone after a few seconds. The microphone adds quite a bit of fidelity. It works in both water conditions and dry conditions. We do have internal batteries on both of these devices that do need to be charged independently, but they're not going to drain the GoPro Hero 4. And since we are transmitting over Bluetooth, we don't have to worry about the strain on the battery being very extreme. It's going to last quite a bit of time. Unfortunately, the Bluetooth signal doesn't seem to be super strong. It can only go about 20 to 28 feet, and that signal is completely lost if we have somebody go in front of the system, or if we have a good body of water or something like that blocking the signal. Now, unlike the Sena Bluetooth wireless solution, the A1 M1 system is relatively simple and is very user-friendly, which is what I really like about it. Like I said, the hardest part is just doing that initial sync, but once you have that going, the camera will automatically connect to the microphone very easy, and just as long as you plug in that ribbon cable, which is really hard to lose, it really just works every time you want to go use it, with the exception of those barriers. It is going to add a little bit of girth to your system, but we will be able to use the whole system because of the very thin ribbon cable. We can use a traditional frame case or waterproof housing, and the ribbon cable can be nicely stored in the system. It's super simple and easy to set up, and the only issue we really had at launch was trying to connect third-party microphones, but we're looking into that right now. Anyway, that's going to wrap up our quick look of REMOVU's A1 M1 Bluetooth wireless microphone system. Let me know what you thought in the comments section below. If you picked up one of these microphone systems, let others know what your experiences have been in the comment section below. If you found this video useful, please like and share. It's tremendously helpful to me. And if you're feeling super generous and you've made it this far, check out our Patreon link. It's that orange link in the lower right, or check out some of the purchase options we have underneath this video in the more information section. Again, tremendous help, and there's a bunch of information down there. If you can't do any of that, liking and sharing though, it's completely free, super helpful. I'm Mark Hawk, and I'll see y'all out there. Have a good one, everyone.